In 2013, grown men stood on a stage fighting back tears. One of them reportedly said, "We didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost." But that sentence was only half true. And understanding which half was the lie explains how the most powerful phone company on Earth collapsed. To understand the fall, you have to understand just how high up they were. In the early 1990s, Finland was in deep trouble. The economy was collapsing, unemployment surged, and in the small town of Salo, people were searching for hope. That hope became Nokia. By the late 1990s, Nokia had become the best-selling phone brand in the world. Then came the products that turned the company into a legend. The Nokia 3310, the phone that seemed impossible to destroy, and the Nokia 1100, which remains the best-selling phone in history, with roughly 250 million units sold. By 2007, Nokia controlled around 40% of the global mobile phone market. At its peak, the company was worth more than $150 billion. For many people in Finland, Nokia wasn't just a company. When Nokia won, Finland won. They had conquered the world. And that was exactly the problem. Because when you're winning that completely, you stop listening. But while Nokia was celebrating, something strange was happening. In California, a different vision of the future was taking shape. On January 9, 2007, Steve Jobs walked onto a stage and introduced the iPhone. At first, many people inside Nokia were not impressed. The iPhone was expensive. It lacked features that Nokia phones already had, and some executives believed touchscreen phones were just a niche product. But they underestimated something much more important. Apple wasn't selling a better phone. It was selling a new way of thinking. The smartphone wasn't just a device, it was becoming a platform. Apps, software, and ecosystems would soon matter more than hardware. Ironically, Nokia had many of the ideas already. Its engineers had experimented with touchscreens and internet services years before. The problem wasn't technology, the problem was speed. And inside Nokia, speed was becoming impossible. But the biggest threat to Nokia wasn't Apple. It was fear. Years later, former executives and employees would describe a culture where people stopped telling each other the truth. Managers were afraid. Engineers were afraid. Nobody wanted to deliver bad news. Because bad news could destroy careers. People inside the company knew they were falling behind, but admitting it was dangerous. And so meetings became performances. Optimism replaced honesty. Deadlines became unrealistic, and pressure spread through the organization. Ironically, Nokia still had brilliant people. The talent was there. The technology was there. But fear had made speed impossible. And in a business moving as fast as smartphones, slow decisions are deadly. The company wasn't destroyed by a lack of intelligence. It was destroyed by a lack of truth. By the early 2000s, the consequences were becoming impossible to hide. Android was spreading everywhere. Apple was dominating the premium market, and Nokia's market share was collapsing. In 2011, the company made a desperate bet. It partnered with Microsoft. CEO Stephen Elop described Nokia as a burning platform, but the partnership failed to stop the decline. Consumers embraced Android and iPhones. Developers ignored Windows Phone, and one by one, the numbers collapsed. Factories slowed down. Jobs disappeared. And in the town of Salo, where Nokia had once represented hope, the production lines eventually fell silent. In 2013, Nokia sold its phone business to Microsoft. The era that had once seemed unstoppable was over. And that's why those executives stood on stage fighting back tears. And yet, the famous quote was only half true. We didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. The truth is, they didn't lose because they lacked talent. They didn't lose because they ignored technology. And they didn't lose because they were stupid. They lost because fear slowly replaced honesty. People stopped telling each other the truth. And once that happened, speed disappeared. In technology, slow decisions are often fatal. Ironically, Nokia itself never truly disappeared. Today, the company still exists. Its networks help power much of the world's telecommunications infrastructure. But the Nokia that once ruled the mobile phone industry is gone. And perhaps that's the real lesson. No company is destroyed the moment it makes a bad decision. Companies are destroyed when people become afraid to speak the truth. And by the time everyone finally admits there's a problem, it's usually already too late.